everyone, and thank you for joining us today. On behalf of Holt Construction, welcome to our series, Get to Work on Terminal 8, the strategic programming we have created in partnership with American Airlines to engage, inform, and hire certified MWBEs, LBEs, and members of Queens community interested in working on the JFK Terminal 8 expansion. My name is Chris Asara, and I serve as president of Holt Construction, a family-owned and operated full-service construction management and general contracting firm. If you have never worked with Holt before, you should know that when it comes to diversity and inclusion, our commitment is built from the top down and from the inside out. We have taken on the JFK Terminal 8 expansion like all of our other projects, and that includes creating a tailored, unique, and comprehensive diversity. I'm excited to kick off today's session, and I hope you find the information engaging and informative. On behalf of Holt, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us, and I look forward to connecting and working with you.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of American Airlines and the John F. Kennedy International Airport Terminal 8 expansion, welcome to today's Get to Work session. My name is Sade Olani Pekun Lewis, and I serve as the Regional Director of Government and Airport Affairs at American Airlines. JFK is getting ready to welcome a new American Airlines Terminal 8. The project will improve the overall customer experience with a total of 70,400 square feet of added space, including 33,000 square feet of public space. Another 57,500 square feet of existing space will be refurbished. To build the new Terminal 8, American Airlines and Holt Construction are committed to engaging, preparing, and hiring certified minority and women-owned business enterprises, MWBEs, local business enterprises, LBEs, and construction workers for the project. This series of programming entitled Get Ready to Work at Terminal 8 has been strategically designed for certified firms and the local community workforce who would like to work on the JFK Terminal 8 expansion. I want to sincerely thank you for taking time out of your busy day to attend today's session. As a small business owner, we know you have a lot on your plate, and we will be respectful of your time today. Today's session is all about how to get paid. Getting paid is a key to operating as a successful business contractor. This important session will review Holt Construction's billing process on the American Airlines JFK Terminal 8 expansion, and also provide you with the best practices to get paid on time. If you are curious about how to better manage the cash flow of your company, this session is for you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This week's session is all about how to get paid on the Terminal 8 project. Getting paid is the key to operating a successful business. This important session will review Holt Construction's billing process for the American Airlines Terminal 8 expansion project. We will also provide you with the best practices on how to get paid on time. So if you're curious about how to better manage the cash flow of your company, this is the session for you. And with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. Cherise Grant, project accountant for Holt Construction Corp. Cherise is the main project accountant which handles the Terminal 8 project. And I'll introduce you to Rosie Collage, the project coordinator for Holt Construction. She manages the certified payrolls and the MEUR reports that you need to submit every month for the project. Welcome, Cherise, and welcome, Rosie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thanks, Rosie. So let's start with the questions. Cherise, what is the billing process like for the Terminal 8 project?
The billing process for the Terminal 8 projects are usually a little daunting, but we managed to get through it in a timely manner.
Great. And I know that you're supposed to submit a pencil rec before you submit your final rec. So what is that process like, and when is the pencil rec due? And what is a pencil rec?
The pencil rec is really a projection of the work to be completed from normally mid-month, so around the 15th of the month, all the way through to the end of the month. So the pencil is just you projecting your work in place for the entire month. It's submitted to me, the accountant, and we review it with the project managers of the project and an owner's representative.
Great. So when a subcontractor submits the pencil rec to you, what happens if you had comments, or the Holt project manager or the American Airlines requested revisions? What happens then to the pencil rec from whatever the subcontractor is?
Right. So during the pencil meeting, we sit, like I said, with the project manager, we sit with the owner's rep, we go over your pencil, the sub's pencil, and we mark it up whether the percentages are correct or not that they're projecting. And if they are over projecting, let's say, we'll mark it down. Sometimes, very rarely, we'll even mark up the percentage if they're not asking for enough. And I take those corrections. I actually calculate the amounts for the subs, mark it up with a red pen, and I email it back to normally the accountant on their side.
Now, what happens if a sub receives a pencil rec that has been marked up and they don't agree with what the markup was, or they have questions on the markup? How do they address those items?
That does happen, Alex. And normally when that happens, the project manager on the sub side would reach out to a PM on our side, and they'll have a discussion if they're disputing it, and normally they'll come to an agreement, and they'll let me know what that new amount is, and that's what I would expect back from the subcontractor.
That's great. Now, what happens if a sub wants to bill on equipment that they have in their yard, or something that's not on the site? It's off-site. Is there any special requirements for billing for that you need?
Yes, that's a great question, because that does happen. If they are billing for what we call stored materials, it's actually billed in a separate column, so it's very clear, what that amount is. The requirements for stored materials include a certificate of insurance for the material for that amount, in which the sub has to list American Airlines as the additionally insured person. It also requires pictures of the material that's clearly labeled for the project. Also required is a purchase log or an inventory log that lists each material that they're billing for, and the amount of the material. And then fourthly, we require a bill of sale, which also has American Airlines listed as the additionally insured.
Great. Now switching over to Rosie. Rosie, you handle the certified payroll reports and the MEUR reports. What are the requirements for the subs to submit those? I know that some projects, they do submit the CPRs and the MEURs with their invoices, but we know that Terminal 8 is a little different. So how do they submit those? Do they go with the bill, or are they separate, and who do they go to?
So Terminal 8, we do it differently. Pay recs go to Cherise, and then the certified payrolls and the MEURs, or the monthly employee utilization reports, comes to myself. They're both due usually by the 5th of each month, because on our end, we do have to compile and report it as well. So we expect our subcontractors to submit it either prior to the 5th or on the 5th.
Great. And what is the difference between a certified payroll report and an MEUR report? What's the difference?
So certified payroll is basically your payroll for all your employees that are currently working on the project during that specific month. So you'll have a list of each employee, their local tier or local zip code, and the amount of hours that they've worked. Whereas the MEURs are actually more for the ethnicity and the diversity portion of the program, where it actually breaks down not by employee name, but all your employees and their ethnicity and their hours worked specifically towards that ethnicity.
Right. And why do we track the locality of the employee and the ethnicity of each employee? Why do we track that for the Terminal 8 project?
So we track that due to port requirements for the diversity and minority portion of the project. Local is to differentiate the local tiers, which is tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also to kind of show that we are using specific local employees, and that the subcontractors are using that local tier 1 and tier 2. We also have to show it coincides with our certified payroll. So everything that you put on the MEUR also has to match up with your certified payroll.
Right. And that's a common mistake, right? Sometimes there's an employee missing on a certified payroll, but he shows up on the MEUR.
Correct.
So that's an extra layer that we check, as well as the subs need to check.
Yes, correct. So we have to
Great.
make sure that everybody is similar. All the reports are similar, nothing, no one's missing, everything's filled out.
Right. And then if they're out of compliance, right? So if they don't have enough hours for minority or female labor force, what happens then?
So if they are not meeting the labor force requirement, what we normally do is I'll send out an email asking if they need assistance with finding that local or that female workforce. If they do, what we do is we'll utilize our consulting company, kind of look for firms, that are looking for work in the area that are local, that can provide either the women or the local workforce for us.
Great. Charisse, moving back to you, what are some errors that people make when they submit their final rec to you? What are some things that you see, some easy fixes? Are they missing a signature? Do they miss a stamp? What do you see as a common error?
Common errors that I've seen when the subs submit their bills, normally they don't change the date on top on the cover page, date for the current month. A lot of them I've seen, they have problems rolling over from one month to the next, so their previous amount billed might be a little off. Also, maybe not notarizing their forms or submitting their bill on a regular invoice as opposed to an AIA form, which is a standardized form for construction billing. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. And another thing, what happens, because I know that this has happened. What happens if a sub misses a submission date for their invoice or their pencil rec? What happens to that rec?
Unfortunately, we do have strict deadlines that we try to adhere to. There have been instances where something is missed, or maybe there was a change order that did not come through on time for them to submit a bill. We do try in those cases to maybe reach back out to the owner's rep and try to get them included. But we do, like I said, try to stick to our schedule, because sticking to our schedule, ensures that the sub gets paid on time, the whole gets paid on time. So we do try to stick to our schedule as much as possible.
Right, because on our requisitions, how many subcontractors do you usually have on each month's requisition?
On average, about 15, but as the project progresses, for example, this month we had 25 subs. So it is increasing. So, the longer or the more we get into the project, the bigger the rec gets, and, it does take longer to process. So we do need the subs to stick to the schedule, submit their pencils on time, submit their final requisitions on time, so that everyone can get paid on time.
Right, because one sub, if you hold up the whole rec for one singular sub, that is a domino effect, right? So then all the other subs are delayed in their payment, right?
That's correct. Yes. And I try very hard not to do that.
What if someone has questions, Rosie, as far as how to complete an MAUR or a CPR? If they have, if they want to ask you a question, what's the best way for you?
So the best way for me is if they want to write an email with the specific questions, and then they can give me a call and we can discuss it, and I can walk through how to fill out the MURs or the CPRs. However, the CPRs do come from the accounting department, so that's something that Holt does not have a grasp on or handle on, as they need to go to their department head for that specific report. MURs are pretty easy, but I get questions all the time, so my phone's always open to the subs in case they have any questions or concerns with it.
Great. And Charisse, if a sub has further questions, or, I know that you speak with them regularly, what's the best way for you to address any questions with them?
Same for me. Email is always best. So any questions they can send via email, and I normally respond, pretty quickly. Yeah.
Thank you, Charisse, and thank you, Rosie. That was extremely helpful. And now let me go through the current opportunities for the Terminal 8 project, as well as answer your questions that you might have.